Well, this might be the biggest money pit I've ever bought. She's pretty rough, but this is a 2000 on the CR250R. And the good news is, I got it for $1,000. So we have a little room to play with for the price. So in my area, these typically go for anywhere from $2,000 to $2,500. Sometimes over $3,000 depending on condition. But like I said, this one is very, very rough. And it's gonna need a lot of work. But as of right now, the seller stated that it does not run. He said that it was gradually getting harder and harder to start and was having very low power and it was very boggy. He said that oil was coming out of the silencer and you can see it pooling on the swing arm there. Bunch of thick oil. So he said it's either running really rich or it needs a new top end. And he said that it felt like it had pretty low compression for a 250. So kicking it over, let's feel the compression here. It doesn't feel that bad. We'll see when we kick it over, but it stops right there. Huh, doesn't feel horrible. But yeah, that's kind of how this one came. And I didn't really look it over too much because it was $1,000, so I didn't want to, kick tires. But I do know the rear shock is blown as well. I sat on it and it instantly felt like a pogo stick, so that's blown. We're gonna need a new shock or have it rebuilt. The front suspension doesn't feel too bad. The plastics are all kind of rough on it. If you look up close, they're all kind of peeling. Graphics are kind of worn out. The seat's got a couple rips in it. Yeah, everything's kind of just worn out on the bike. You can tell somebody really rode it hard and probably put it away wet. The frame is kind of rough on it as well. It doesn't look like it was raced. There's no big dents in the rails there. It just looks like it's had a rough life. But today's goal with this one is going to be to get this one running and driving by the end of the video without having to redo the top end. I'm hoping that somewhere along the way somebody rejetted this thing and it's just running really, really rich. That's my hope, but it could be bad. We could need to rebuild the whole thing. So we'll see. At least we got it for $1,000. But let's take a look at the other side of the bike here. Tire on the back is pretty decent. Has the stock silencer. Rear sprocket's not horrible. Chain is adjusted okay. Looks like the original Keihin carb in there. That's good. There's the tag for 2000. Yeah, it's definitely pretty much all stock on this bike, which is nice, That way we don't have to guess on things. But yeah, cosmetically, she's rough. Looks like there's some monster stickers that were on the frame. It's always a good sign. So let's go ahead, get this one off the trailer, and we're gonna start digging into it. We'll see what we find today. This one should be pretty fun. Alright, little walk around. So you can see the pipe is pretty dented in. That's going to have to be repaired. It looks like some oil dripping from the pipe. Ooh, there's some oil dripping from the cases there, probably up by the pipe. So it's running really rich. You can see all the oil on the swing arm, all over the rim here. Yeah, something's going on with it. Throttle works good. Looks like maybe some leaking up by the spark plug too. But let's kick this thing over a couple times and see what it feels like. See if we can get this thing to fire up at least for a little bit. And then we'll start working on it. I'm not hearing any knocking when I kick it over, so that's a good sign. Feels like it has pretty good compression as well. and kicks over smooth, so that's a start. Alright, we got this bike in the garage. Let's start going over it. So kicking it over, it felt like it had decent compression. So I don't know what the seller was talking about. It definitely feels like a 250 kicking it over, so hopefully there's nothing wrong with the top end. We'll see, sometimes it can be deceiving. But we're going to start with the oil change here first. Looks like there's an aftermarket oil cap here. Take that off. And we're checking for the oil being milky and really black, and as you can see, it's extremely black right there. Let's take our dipstick and see what that looks like. We can also check the check bolt right here to make sure it's at the correct level. It looks like it takes 850 milliliters. Take a peek, see what's going on. It didn't appear to be milky when we first saw the cap. Usually the cap would be all full. Yeah, it looks like it's just really, really black. Let's see if we can get down in there. Yeah, it's pretty black. I don't think that's been changed for a while. Kind of looks like the black oil coming out of the pipe, so hopefully we don't have a blown seal on the right hand side. Put our oil cap back on here. The oil, a lot of times this oil will be really low if it's leaking into the crankcase. Oh, that was on there. Almost looks like somebody painted the cases at one point. Let's see if there's anything in here. Oh yeah, look at that. Plenty of oil in there. So that's a good sign. That means it all didn't leak into the crankcase and hopefully isn't burning that oil off. But as you can see, it's extremely black. Doesn't smell like gas either. Yeah, no milkiness to that oil at all, so most likely the water pump seals are fine. And as of right now, I'm thinking the crank seals are fine unless the guy fills it up periodically with oil. But that oil would be pretty low just because it was seeping into the crankcase, so that checks out. Another great sign would be if this coolant is topped off. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's even topped off. Look at that. Good. That is really good. So we most likely don't have a leak in the cylinder, or a head gasket leak, or a water pump leak. So, awesome. Coolant looks good. Oil looks decent. It's just really black. Probably hasn't been changed in a long time. So, let's go ahead and check out the gas in the gas tank. I wonder if the seller just mixed it really rich. A lot of times people mix it really rich if it was freshly rebuilt, and then they forget to change it out. So people will mix it like 25-1 for the first initial start, so it doesn't lock up right away, and then they forget to change it out. But there's not a whole lot in there. Let's go down to the petcock and see what that looks like. I bet you it's mixed really heavily. Right now it's on. I'll turn that off. All right, so we're hoping that it's mixed really rich. Here. Oh man. It's on there. Looks like this gas line has seen better days. It's I think it's actually leaking here from the bottom of the gas line. On. Oh, gas is coming out. All right, let's see. I think it's the colorless oil here. It's kind of hard to tell. We can kind of tell by the smell though. That's kind of hard to tell. That might be AMS oil in there. Ooh, kind of smells like old fuel too. Looks a little foggy, doesn't it? I know there's oil mixed in it, but it looks kind of like the fuel's foggy. So what we might do is just drain that whole tank so we can start fresh. I have no idea what's in there. It's really hard to tell. Alright, so 2 videos ago you watched me unplug a breather line for a gas tank, and that was one of the main problems as to why it wasn't running right. So let's do this one as well. See if we can blow through it. Yep. So vent line on this one's not plugged up. I always like to check that just in case. I've seen a lot of people miss that. So if you guys are having problems, the first thing I would do is check that vent line. Bugs can get up in here, make nests. Yeah, a lot of different scenarios. I've seen oil packed in there before. So it's definitely one thing to check, because if you're not venting that properly, you're not getting any gas to the engine, or not enough gas at least. Let's go ahead and check out this air filter in here. This is going to tell us a lot as well. That's definitely the original Honda seat on there. You can see the A's coming off of it. And over here there's a couple scratch marks, nothing too crazy. So it's not in horrible condition for a stock seat. Alright, taking a look at the air filter here. Ooh, that looks pretty rough. So that is not a foam filter. So maybe the top end is junk. So there's no lid on this except for the seat. So this can get sand in here. And these filters aren't great for stopping sand. So I'm guessing when we take this thing off, there's gonna be sand on the inside of it. Especially if it's an old filter. Yeah, I really don't like using these filters like this unless you're just riding on the road. If you're riding off-road, this is a bad idea. Yeah, I can already see dirt on the cover here. Hopefully a ton didn't get in here. It doesn't look horrible, but you can see that's sand right there. So, you know, some sand is getting by, and you can see the whole air box has sand and dirt in it. So yeah, with these filters you can actually see right through them. So those fine sand particles go right through it. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can see right through. So that's not great for stopping the really, really fine particles. So far I'm feeling pretty good about it. My only concern is the air filter. So that could have been sucking in some sand. Definitely causing those rings to wear down faster than usual. But let's take off this gas tank next, see what's going on. The shrouds don't look too bad. Definitely original. Doesn't look horrible. Look up here. So we're just checking out all the coolant lines, making sure those aren't leaking at all. Usually you'd be able to tell from where the clamp is. Sometimes those hoses can break from being in the sun all day. So the coil is right down here. It looks like the ground is good there. It is connected. And then you've got your spark plug underneath the boot here. Ooh, that was on there tight. You can check out that boot. And the plug is in there tight. That's good. I'm not seeing any leaking around the head anywhere. Looking for coolant pooling there. So it appears like the head gasket's probably fine. And the other indicator was that the coolant is completely filled up. So that's also a really good sign. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything like that. There's a little bit of moisture there. at the base gasket, but that could be from gas pooling out of this pipe here, coming back there. Hard to tell. Carb's pretty dirty in there too. Yeah, somebody was definitely riding this thing. It's not clean. Plug coming out of here. See what it looks like. Let's see if it's really black. Almost has to be. Oh, it looks brand new. That's not good. Check this out. Completely white. I wonder if it's not sparking correctly or at all. Looks like maybe the seller put a new plug in there and never fired up. I don't know. BR9ES plug. Yeah, it's extremely white, which doesn't make any sense because the seller said it was just dumping out oil basically. So this plug would be extremely black if that was the case. Let's just see if anything comes out of the head here when we kick it over. Doesn't look like any coolant coming out. Nothing on my thumb here. Let's put a rag down and just see if it's wet after we kick it. Sometimes, if there is a blown head gasket, coolant can make that plug turn white like that. Yeah, it's dry. It'd be all soaked right here if it was a head gasket, most likely. So I'd be just compressing that coolant up into the rag, and this middle section would be all wet. So I really don't think there's a head gasket leak. You know, maybe he just put a new plug in. All right, spark plug's connected right there. Turn this thing over. Let's see if we have any spark here. Uh-oh. I'm not seeing anything. That's not good. Nothing at all. Well, that would be why the plug is white. Yeah, this thing wasn't firing. Uh-oh. That could be CDI or stator. Ooh, that's not good. I knew this was too good to be true. Oh, it always is, isn't it? Come on, nothing at all? Let me turn up the light and see if there's at least a little spark. Sometimes it can be weak and it could be like a bad coil. Just see. All right, let's see if we see anything here. Uh-oh. There's nothing, not even weak spark. Oh boy. All right, so no weak spark. All right, should we try a new plug? Let's put a new plug in quick. Maybe it's just a faulty plug. I doubt it, but you never know, we might get lucky. All right, so here's the brand new plug. That's never been fired before. This one looks like maybe the tip is a little bit black right there, but that could just be from attempting to fire. Let's see if a brand new plug has spark. Ground her out. Oh, that should be a really bright blue spark. Is it not grounding out correctly? Let's go to this part of the engine. Maybe we have a bad ground. Nothing there either. Let's go to the frame. Maybe it's a ground problem with the engine here. Let's see if we have anything. Nothing, if you guys can see that. Yeah, nothing. So, what we're first gonna do is follow our leads from our coil and see if we're getting the ground to the coil, see if that's good, and then we'll kind of work our way up, probably to the kill switch, and see what's going on there. But as of right now, we have no spark, so that's why this thing wouldn't fire. All right, does this boot come off? Let's first check that. It should. I don't know if it's a twist off one or not. I think it is. Yeah, not a whole lot of metal exposed there. Go ahead and cut that back. It looks a little rough in there. Hard to tell. Older CRs had problems with the CDIs, and they're really expensive to buy a new one. So I'm really hoping it's not that. The boot inside there looks good. Get that twisted back on and we'll check for spark again. Wouldn't that be nice if it was the fix? Can we get that lucky? I don't think so. You never know. Let's see. This is the brand new plug. Far nothing. Yeah, nothing. So it wasn't the boot, unfortunately. The coil's right here. You can see there's a ground wire going to the frame here. And then you can see there's a post back here with a white and black wire. Let's just kind of see if that's loose on there. If it's making good contact. Yeah, it's tight on there. Let's check for the ground. So we're using our continuity tester. And if we hear a beep while we put one end to the green wire, one end to ground, we should be good. That means there's continuity ground. Yep. Now, the kill switch works by grounding out the white and black wire there. So basically the kill switch has two wires going to it, and what it does is it sends a ground to the black and white wire from the black wire that's connected to the ground here. So we should not have a ground at the black and white. Let's see, so we shouldn't have any continuity between the green wire or ground at the engine right here to the black and white. Let's see at this post what we get. We should not hear a beep. All right. Oh, that's getting ground out. So I'm holding it to the white and black post on the coil. And see, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. There we go. Yeah. That should not be ground out. So is that wire getting ground out? Or is the kill switch bad? There's two connectors up here we can check. So you can see the white and black wire that's going to the coil, and then the black wire, that's the one going up to the kill switch, going to ground here. And as you press that button, it grounds out the black and white. So let's go ahead and detach these and see if we're getting ground still. So we can actually completely bypass the kill switch by taking off these connectors here. That one looks pretty good. Both connectors look good. Oh, there's a frayed wire there. Look at that. The white and black wire that was tucked up into here is coming through. I wonder if that was grounding out to the frame there. Wow, that might be the problem. I don't know, was it touching it? I can't remember where that was placed. Was it underneath there? I don't know where that was. But yeah, it's getting ground down somehow. Must have been rubbing on the frame there. All right, we're gonna leave this disconnected. It might be the kill switch, not even that wire that was exposed. I don't know if that was even hitting the frame. So let's go ahead and check for spark now. This is completely bypassing the kill switch. So if we get spark, we know there's something wrong with the kill switch, or it could be that frayed wire there too. Come on, baby, have spark. I really don't want to buy a new CDI for this thing. That looked like spark. Oh yeah. Yeah, there's spark. Looks a little weak. Let's see. Might have to turn up the light to see it. See if I hold it here. Kind of hard to tell. There we go. Now that's blue spark. Oh yeah. So something's going on with that kill switch. That's really nice blue consistent spark. Alright. That's awesome. Oh, thank God. Alright, let's go up to the kill switch. I think what we're first going to do is repair that black wire that was frayed. Put a little tape around there, plug it back in, and that will tell us if it was a frayed wire or if there's something going on with the kill switch, which there could be. Alright, we're first going to try to cover this with black tape. Make sure that doesn't hit the frame at all. Looks good right there. Let's tape these two together like that. Put some extra padding on there so it doesn't wear through again. There. Now that has to wear through like a couple millimeters of tape. Connect these back together. Put these back in there like that. That looks good. And we'll go check for spark. Alright, let's see what happens. Was it the kill switch or was it the wire hitting the frame? Ah, we have spark. So it looks like it was that frayed wire hitting the frame. You guys probably can't even see it. Let's turn up the light. Yeah, it looks like good spark. Awesome. Well, we fixed that problem. So I'm thinking what happened was the seller was trying to start this thing. It would probably periodically spark if that wire came off the frame, but then it would be really hard to start if it was hitting the frame. So once that gas tank's on there, it must have been squishing that wire into the frame, causing it not to spark. And then every time you move the bike, it would probably spark a little bit, not spark, spark a little bit. Probably run like crap too, because it was hitting the frame, not hitting the frame, grounding out, not grounding out. So it was probably chasing its tail with the spark and thinking like, oh, you know, it puffed over a couple times. Why is it not firing? But I think it just had sporadic spark from that wire hitting the frame constantly. But yeah, we had no spark at one point. Well, I'm extremely relieved it wasn't the CDI, but I really don't think that explains all the oil coming out of the tailpipe. So we still have to deal with that problem as well. And we have to see if this thing fires up. So next thing we're gonna do is check compression. See what that's at. The seller thought it was low, so a 250 should have around like 180 PSI. 125s have around like 150 to 160, and then 200s can have upwards of like 190, so we should be like right in the 175, 180 range. That would be perfect PSI. All right, let's get our gauge in. Put her through here. All right, what do you guys predict? You think it's gonna be low? All right, we're gonna be doing throttle open and just kicking this thing over. So we're looking for right in this range. Anything over 150 is really pretty decent for a 250, but we're looking for like 180 specifically. We're at 100 right now. That was like what, 3 or 4 kicks? Something broke off. Oh, maybe it is a little bit low. All right, let's start kicking this thing over. It's hard to kick compression here. Throttle open. 160. It's climbing. $165. So not horrible. I mean, I'd like to see 180 out of it, but this bike probably has never been rebuilt. So 165 for a bike with probably over 100 hours on it. That's not too bad. It should run pretty good on 165. Well, so far we're getting pretty lucky here. We have pretty decent compression at 165, and then now very good spark now that we fixed that problem with the spark. So let's move on to fuel. So we saw that the gas tank had some kind of like dirty looking gas in there. We're gonna dump that out. Let's take a look at the carb next, try to get that out of there and see what's going on. At one point this thing was running really rich, so it was either the fuel or the carb. So I wonder if somebody put bigger jets in, or you know, kind of monkeyed with the carb. Let's take it out. So there's a clamp here, and then we're going to actually take the whole subframe and flip that up. Most likely there's probably not a crack in the boot here, just because it was running so rich. It would be running a lot leaner if there was a crack in the boot, but we're gonna check that too, just to make sure. We can. One on the other side here. Should just flip right up. Actually pulled the whole carb out of there. The air filter. Get that off. There. Alright, that wasn't so bad. Let's see if it'll come out now. I wonder if I need to take off the... No, we're good. These look like all the original lines too. I'll have to blow through all those. But yeah, definitely the original carb. See how the slide's working? It's going all the way back down, that's good. Oh, that's on there. I think this has been cleaned for a while. Yeah, that looks good. Nothing wrong with the slide. Alright, that is really sandy. Yeah, we can check all these hoses, make sure those are all cleared out. So far it doesn't look too bad. Alright, let's open that up, see what's going on the inside. See if there's any gas in here. Oh, here it comes out of this line here. So it's definitely getting gas. Plenty of gas in there. Ooh, it looks really oily in there. Take all these lines off first. Oh man, okay. Last line coming off here. All those lines we can blow out. Oh man, that was on there. The outside of it's just filthy. Let's see. Doesn't look too bad. Looks pretty clean. Pin came out for the float right away. Take a peek. Needle looks really good. Float feels good. Alright, main jet looks like we're running. Ooh, that's pretty plugged up there. What size it is even. See if it's clear first. Yeah, it's clear. Looks like a huge main jet. 175 for the main. That's pretty big. Alright, pilot's way down in there. Let's see what we got. 52 for the pilot. And that looks way bigger than a 52. Holy cow. I think that's drilled out. Oh, look how big that pilot hole is. What the heck? Check this out. Look how big that pilot is. You can see right through it. Yeah, that was definitely drilled out. We'll have to look at another 52, but that is huge. That's almost as big as the main jet. So that could be the reason of all the oil like that. Wow, is that huge. I don't think I've ever seen one that big. Look, even from the back way, you can see through it. Jeez, so I think the pilot and the main might be big. Let's see what the main jet looks like. That one looks drilled out too. Just massive. Alright. Let's take a peek at our air screw. We are 1.5 turns out, so that's correct. There's no way this thing idled with that big of a pilot. That looks good. Alright, last thing I want to check is the choke. Make sure that was functioning. I don't know, maybe this thing has like a big bore in it, but typically with a big bore, you want less fuel. So, I don't know. It's really odd. Yeah, choke looks good. That's working. Cool. It's working fine. Alright, so we're going to let this thing sit in the ultrasonic cleaner. We're going to do some research on all the jets. And we're going to compare them to jets I have that are the same size for a Keihin carb. I think they're running way too big of jets. Put a little bit more of the simple green in there. Let these sit for about 30 minutes. Alright, carb is all out of the ultrasonic cleaner. Looking really good. Cleaned up really nicely. Looking like a brand new carb. So we looked up the stock jetting for a 2000 Honda CR250. And the stock jetting is going to be 180 for the main and 48 for the pilot. 1.5 turns out on the air screw and a third clip position on the needle. So we were running this is a 175 for the main, so a little bit small, and the pilot was a 52, so that was a little bit big. And actually the pilot we saw was definitely drilled out because I've got a couple other pilots here that we can compare it to. So we've got a 48 we found that we're going to install inside the 52, but check the difference out here. So here is the one that was drilled out, that's a 52. And then for comparison, this is a 48. See how you can't even see really down there. Look at how small that hole is compared to that one. Oh, that's like 10 times the size. That pilot is massive. So this is what it should be. This is what it was for the pilot. That's a crazy difference. And then for the main, they were running a 175. We're going to put a 180 in, which is stock. So I don't think they drilled out the main jet. That looks pretty darn close. It actually looks like the 175 is bigger than the 180. So maybe they did drill it out. So I think both jets were drilled out. Yeah, that hole looks kind of lopsided as well. I don't know, hard to tell, but we'll put the correct jets in. So 180 and 148 we're going to install. Alright, so we installed the 180 main here, you can see. And then we've got the 48 pilot in there, and the air screw is out 1.5 turns. We got the choke back in. The float height, the stock float height is going to be 16 millimeters. So let's check that. You want to hold this at a 45-degree angle, and then just measure the float height here. So from the surface here, the gasket surface, to the top of the float there. We're going to go right to 16 and see if that's spot on. Yeah, that's pretty much spot on. You can see. So we're at 16. You can kind of see this way too. Right to the top of the float. So that float height is spot on. We're good there. Just good to check that, make sure it wasn't way off. All right, let's go ahead and take our needle out of here. We're gonna see what clip position that's at. Whoa. All right. So we're gonna take that off quick and check that out. All right, this is 6 millimeter. And that is in the third position, right in the middle clip position, so that's good. All right, put that back in. So now we know that's right in the center. So if we have to adjust it, we can make changes to it. All right, before we put the carb back on, let's check out the reeds here. See what those look like. We have to take off the brake canister as well. We have to remember to put that back on. Looks stock to me. Manifold. Alright, let's check it out. I don't see any cracks in that at all. That looks really good. But I do see some sand around there. Yeah, manifold looks really good. Check the reeds. Don't want to break that gasket. Ooh, those look really good. I think those are the stock reeds. I don't see light through any of them. Let's see if they're all opening. Yep. Cool. Can't believe how good those look for being stock. I always like the stock ones the best. So the gaskets look good. Cool. Better than I expected. Alright, let's take a look down the cylinder. We're going to see what's going on in there. Hopefully it's not all scratched up. Usually we can kind of get back here and take a look. It looks like a new piston in there. Yeah, that's definitely an aftermarket piston. No scratches on the piston at all. Alright, let's take a peek down here. Ooh. Looks like the piston got nicked a couple times. Right there and right there from something. See that? Looks like there's a couple nicks there. Ooh. Look at all those on that side. What is that? What the heck? Is that just oil? Or is that actual scratches? That might just be oil. It's really hard to tell. I don't know. Oh, that looks like gouges in the piston. Reflecting up on the cylinder is what it looks like. Something was bouncing around in there though, making gouges. It definitely looks like there's a couple marks on the piston. I can't tell if these marks are oil, but definitely these are not. That does not look like oil to me. And that might be oil, unless it's just pooling in those places where it got nicked. What would that be from? See if I can spin this. Okay. That doesn't look too bad. There's a couple nicks on the head too, see that? See, the same type of nicks on the head, so I wonder, something must have been getting caught between the piston and the head here. Cylinder wall still has the cross hatches, those look really good. Yeah, we'll see what the stock one is, but it looks like either 66 or 56. Right here are the power valves. You can see that's not broken or anything. Yeah, those aren't all scraped up or anything, so power valves check out. Those look good. Yeah, very interesting. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that. Piston's a little dinged up on the top. So our slide's working. All the way back down. Alright, get these lines in here. Alright, carb is all back in, looking good. Let's get the new spark plug in. Plug going in here. Boot back on. Wasn't a whole lot of sand in there. Kind of a tough one to get in. Alright, so let's go ahead and drain the oil out. You can see the drain bolt is right here. Just kind of inspecting the cases here for cracks. Everything looks good. Look how much oil is coming out of the pipe though. Alright, I think that's a 17 millimeter. We'll crack that and see what comes out. Hopefully no chunks. Pretty black. So far, no chunks in there. Looking pretty good. Alright, we'll let that drain and then come back and add some fresh oil. That is some black oil. Alright, no metallic flakes at all, no chunks in there. Yeah, I think we're gonna be good. Alright, 850 milliliters going in. We're using Wet Quatch 10W40. Alright, we've got clots 4-1 mixed up here. Let's dump that in. Alright, last piece of the puzzle, the seat going on. Well, I think we're all ready for the first start. So we have fresh coolant, fresh oil. We've got 40-to-1 fresh fuel in there. We cleaned up the carb, that is perfect. We changed up those jets. The jet that was in there was drilled out, I think both of them were, the main and the pilot. So we changed those out. We checked the reads, those look good. Compression's 165, so that's pretty decent. And we have good spark now. So there's no reason this thing shouldn't fire up. I'm just kind of worried about the pilot being screwed out. Like, why was that messed with? I don't know. It's crazy what people do, but maybe it was for a reason. I don't know. So let's go ahead, attempt to fire this thing up, and we'll see how this thing runs. Hopefully she fires up now. How many kicks will it take? Let's see. Choke it. Cast on. Here we go. strong kick. Pipe is loud. Sounds pretty good though. Yeah, I can't believe she fired first big kick. That doesn't happen very often. Sounds really good. Idling perfect too. So there's no way with that bigger pilot in there it would have idled at all. So I'm thinking that's what was causing it to run really, really rich. Or it could have been the fuel mixture as well. Just mixed really heavy and it wasn't burning off that extra oil. But let's see if she fires right back up here. Sounds really good. Obviously that silencer needs to be repacked. No oil coming out of it. Top end sounds good. Look how snappy that is. sharper. I don't know if I've ever ridden a faster CR250. This thing absolutely rips. It is jetted perfectly. It is crazy quick. Man, this thing has a lot of power. This thing will wheelie 1, 2, 3 easy, maybe even 4th gear. It is still spitting out some oil, but it's not out of the tip of the silencer. It's out of the back. So what I'm thinking happened is this packing in here is just saturated from before and it's just leaking out of there as it gets hot. It's just dripping on the swing arm, you can see. So there's no way it's running rich because it does not bog at all. Starts first kick, idles perfectly. I mean, it's not running rich at all. So I think that silencer is just packed full of stuff. We'll check the plug too when we get back home, see what color the plug is. Before, when we took it out, it was white. So this is a brand new plug. Hopefully it turned a nice chocolate color. I'm guessing it will because these are the stock jets for the machine. The ones that were in it before were pretty far off. I think they were drilled out. So this thing was definitely running rich before I got it. Like I said, there's no way this thing even idled, and it probably bogged really bad at top speed. So yeah, it's definitely fixed. I mean, it is jetted perfectly. It doesn't break up at all. It's good to go. So let's go home. We're gonna clean this thing up and check a couple things. I'm really happy with the way that one turned out. All right, we got this thing all cleaned off. Let's do a couple of checks now that we did the first ride. So first thing we're gonna do is check the oil. Make sure that's not milky after the first ride. What this oil looks like here. Huh, doesn't look milky at all. So that's good. All right, get our boot off of here if we can. There we go. Crack that plug out. There we go. She's coming. Hoping it's nice and chocolatey brown. That's what we're hoping for. Oh yeah, that is perfect. Look at that, nice and brown. Right on the verge of being black, so it is spot on. Well, everything checks out on this one, so we're gonna order up some new packing for it. Obviously that is just drenched with oil. I'm sure if we take off the pipe, it just pour out of there. And then we're going to order up a rear shock for it, or possibly take it off and get it rebuilt, because it's basically like riding a pogo stick. I mean, it's super bouncy, really hard to ride, and it's definitely blown. So those two things, and then obviously get some new graphics for it, clean it up, and it should be a great looking bike. I mean, it just screams. It is a very, very powerful good running CR250. And I'm happy we took the risk and bought this one for $1,000, and we were able to fix this one up today. A couple more things we have to do, and she'll be good to go. So hopefully you guys enjoyed picking this one up for $1,000, diagnosing the problem, doing the first start, and then the first ride today. This one was a pretty good deal. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for the next video. And until next time, we are out.